Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 168 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording on January 28th, 2019.
My name is Ian. I'm a target shooter, reloader, hobby farmer, and the token Westerner on the panel.
I'm Marty, hunter and sports shooter in rural Southern Ontario.
I'm Gavin, SHOT Show 2019 survivor and newly appointed Northern correspondent for Swanson Media Group.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, competitive shooter, firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical, and your host this evening.
So Gavin, Swanson Media Group, is that the frozen dinner people?
Yeah. I'm going to be critiquing Hungry Man frozen dinners.
I feel like they couldn't have picked a better person.
Yeah.
Or are they doing? Maybe they're doing MREs for Swanson now or something. Who knows?
We'd love to hear your feedback about frozen dinners. Please contact the show, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback, or you can email us feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. You can find the show on Stitcher and iTunes.
Also Facebook and Instagram.
Quality journalism as always.
Short and to the point. We need your help. To support the show, visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Sure, you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 and shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
Time for my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? Every week, What Are We Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. Now I get to ask, what are we drinking? Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Woodford Reserve and Coke Zero. And whilst I have my glass in hand, I would like to raise a toast to our host, who's also his birthday tomorrow. So cheers, Andrew.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Many, many thank yous. I will be super wrecked, I hope.
As per SOP.
It is a work day.
Yeah, well, only if you show up to work.
Truth.
Yeah, I'm try and get out of there as early as possible tomorrow and celebrate me by drinking and eating steak, as is tradition. Because it's Tuesday, and on steak I eat Tuesday. No, wait. On Tuesday I eat steak.
That sounds better.
Right. Woodford, Marty, what are you drinking?
I have the Spice Box whiskey tonight with the Coke Zero.
Nice. I should buy more Spice Box whiskey. I should talk to my wife if I'm allowed to buy more Spice Box whiskey. Unfortunately, I'm very ahead on the alcohol preps right now. So I'm not allowed to purchase more alcohol until I drink the alcohol that's open. And I'm not allowed to buy more alcohol until I drink the alcohol that's on the shelf in the preparedness room. Spice Box is not currently on the shelf, so it may be a while.
Think the barter value.
If you drink the stuff off the shelf without replacing it, then that's not a prep.
No, that's not a barter value at all.
You missed the part about how I'm not allowed to buy more until I also drink all the open alcohol in the house. Like my wife doesn't think I'm up for that kind of a challenge.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Ian, what are you drinking?
Angostura 1919 rum and Coke Zero, which is it's not just the bitters people after all. It turns out they actually make good rum.
That sounds very fancy.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
Is the rum bitter at all, or is it just rum?
Surprisingly not, actually. It's pretty good. I got it when I was down in Trinidad, so it was good stuff.
Well, there you go.
All right, let's Gavin, do you want to talk about SHOT Show, or should we just go into the news?
Yeah, I could give it a quick little recap, I guess. It was long, it was tiring, but productive. I don't know how much I can really tell about certain things because we haven't finalized some stuff, but there's definitely some big things coming for some people associated with the show and Ragnarok. That's for sure. Potentially some new products on the horizon. Some things that some of you guys have been asking for. But yeah, I guess there wasn't really anything super cool this year. Like last year was the weird like football projectile gun thing that's not a gun. There wasn't really anything like that. But I managed to escape the show without getting the plague, although a few people did, like fellow panelist David.
Oh, Dave's sick. That's sad.
Yeah, although he seems to be doing better now. It seems to be a fast-acting plague this year where it kind of comes and hits you hard and then leaves quickly. Some people's flights were a little bit messed up because of the weather. Luckily, ours was only delayed like an hour and a half going there, and coming back was fine, other than it was the red eye. But the gentleman from NAS Guns and Ammo down in Niagara got F'd in the A pretty hard by their flight. I think they were like almost a day delayed.
You know what they say, time to spare, go by air.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it was overall, I think it was pretty good. I mean, like my intro said, I'm now a northern correspondent for Swanson Media Group. So my lovely girlfriend Angela and I are now going to be helping those guys out with some product reviews and things like that with a bit of a northern perspective. So that was productive. It'll also help get our names and Ragnarok out more exposure, which is always good.
I do have some follow-up things. Were you by the Brownells booth at all?
Yes, I did pass by the Brownells booth.
Did you happen to play with any of the retro series guns, particularly like the BRN 180 or the BRN A15, whatever their M16A1, or I'm sorry, M16, M16 triangular handguard? I
didn't fondle them, but I did eyeball them from across the aisle. I was too afraid that if I did go over, I might be too excited and be asked to leave the booth.
I would be super excited to see some of those Brownells guns in Canada because their retro line is super cool. So like the BR10, the retro AR10.
Yeah.
And I think it was the BRN 15, I think is like the original retro AR-15 M16, like Vietnam era triangular handguard M16.
Yeah, that's the one I was eyeballing because I was like, man, I would love to have one of those. Just like,
yeah, those are super cool. The BRN 180, which is an AR 180, like they are making some cool retro guns under the Brownells banner.
Yes, they definitely are. 10 out of 10 would own.
So I would be curious if we can get those here and what like the import process is like. Were you by the Daniel Defense booth at all?
That was the very first booth that we went in and fondled guns in.
Did they have the new bolt action rifle? Because I was super excited to see the fact. Like I read that Daniel Defense released a bolt action rifle, and I was like, wait, what?
I did not see it. We were just fondling the ARs, the plethora of ARs.
They do have a lot of ARs.
Yeah. Some really nice ones.
I don't know. Was there anything else? Like those were kind of the things that I was excited about to see when I was reading about SHOT.
Yeah, I mean,
Jim Fuller had a booth at SHOT where he was showing off AKs. Jim's a cool guy.
Yeah, although he sold his shop last year. Like he's kind of in it still, but not really. Like he's still attached to it and like he promotes it and stuff, but he's not actually there anymore. But they seem to have invested heavily in some machining process to up capacity.
Well, that's good. I mean,
yeah. So more.
Not
AKs.
that we're going to get AKs here, but Jim's a cool guy. Rifle Dynamics is a cool company. The people that work at Rifle Dynamics are the people that I have met from Rifle Dynamics are cool people. So,
yeah, I will say this: we went by the Mantis booth.
Oh yeah.
And the new Mantis makes the old one look like a piece of poo. It's definitely, it's smaller, it's lighter, it's got a bunch new features that will be upgradable once they kind of get some new software rolling. So it's definitely something to check out. And you can probably order one of them through Ragnarok Tactical in the not too distant future.
Yeah, as soon as I get new dealer pricing.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't any sort of like groundbreaking and game changing there, but there's always cool stuff to check out.
Yeah, that was sort of my, just from reading reviews and seeing everything, kind of keeping track of what has been posted at SHOT Show this year, was there was nothing that was like super new and super exciting. There wasn't like when the H9 came out a couple years ago, and it was like the thing of
you couldn't even get in the booth, and then they weren't even really there this year.
Well, there was literally an empty booth where they were supposed to be this year for.
Yeah, apparently they've been having some production problems as well, which I guess has led to some financial problems.
Yeah,
that will happen.
There's a couple of articles out there. It's an interesting read to see kind of what's happening with them. But yeah, I don't know. There was a few different things. There was the the High Point PCC that came out.
Yeah, well, and High Point, had all kinds of stuff like factory red dot capabilities now, and all kinds.
Did you guys see the new High Point pistols? Because those were funny looking.
Yeah. It's there was kind of that stuff that came out. I was like, oh yeah, that's neat that's a thing, but it's not a thing that anybody would really care about.
But I did see a funny meme because High Point did come out with a bunch of upgrades to their pistol. Nothing, like I said, groundbreaking. It's all stuff that other manufacturers have done. But the fact that they did these 5 or 6 things all at once to their pistols meant that they showed more innovation than any other gun company at the show. Although we did check out the Glock Slimlines. They're pretty nice.
Oh, the 48 or whatever? Glock 48?
Yeah. So for those of you with smaller hands, they might want to try those out if and when they come to Canada.
Or you could just get bigger hands.
Or better.
Yeah. Or better. I was waiting for Marty. It's not a 1911. It's no good.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not a Hudson.
Yeah. Valid point.
Yeah. All in all, we'll definitely go again next year. Hopefully there'll be more exciting stuff.
Well, if nothing else, I should be there. And that in and of itself should be a reason to go. And if that doesn't float your boat, there's always the World of Concrete or the AVN Awards. Yeah,
there was definitely a lot of good parties and a lot of drinking, which was fun. We did get a personal invite to the 511 party from the VP of sales for North America, so that was kind of cool.
The fact that they call it the International Operator Party is probably my favorite party name.
Yeah, they had a whole ceremony where they bagpiped in the American. Yeah, they bagpiped in the American flag. Although oddly, their song of choice was "Scotland the Brave," but whatever. It was very America.
No one can tell the difference between any two bagpipe songs. It's fine.
That is entirely untrue. You are uncultured swine, sir.
Well, what do the Dutch know?
Clearly not good bagpipe music. Clearly not.
Yeah.
I would say there's nobody on this planet that knows good bagpipe music because it has not existed as of yet.
Wow. Wow.
Do you know why bagpipe players are always walking when they play? Trying to get away from
the noise. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm gonna just sit over here and drink my fucking scotch. How about that, then?
Yeah.
I'm hoping my wife doesn't watch since she's from Scotland.
Well, she knows then.
All right, news. Let's do news.
Oh yeah.
First one: Maclean's Canadian MPs and their extravagant. Wow, words are hard on Monday. Extravagant guests. Fuck's sakes. Gifts. Is this bribery? I don't know, but it's probably me being drunk on Monday. So there's that. It's a rather long read, but what this amounts to, and the thing that I wanted to ask about is your guys' opinion on how our politicians are faring on the world stage, and if we think our government is being bribed by foreign powers, like these all expense paid, what are essentially vacations to places like Taipei
or the Aga Khan residence.
Well,
Yeah, it's odd that-
No,
That's
we paid for that one.
So McLean's definitely call out specifically Pierre Poilievre, which is, I mean, it's interesting that they called out the only MP they called out as conservative one. I thought was a bit telling. But
well, okay, I wouldn't say the only one, because they do start the story with John McCallum, who got the most of everyone at $73,000. Poilievre only got $13,000 in benefits for his trip to Taiwan.
So, is it bribery in a way? At the same time, that's kind of how business is done.
Yeah, that's part of this, is right. The government is sadly a type of business, and in order to do this, you have to go and have face-to-face meetings and build rapport with people. And where we sit on the world stage, a $13,000 trip or $73,000 in total bribes from the Chinese for McCallum. This is a very tiny outlay for these countries.
Oh, I think it's quite
Could
frankly.
you imagine?
I was going to say it's
Sorry?
amateur hour. I mean, compared to the U.S., it's amateur hour. I mean, you look at Pelosi or the Clintons or anything else, and after 30 years of public service, I mean, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, which I think is a little more than what their actual salary was. So, I mean, yeah, I think we're total lightweights.
Yeah. Could you imagine how much it would cost to send an American? What would that be? A U.S. House representative or a senator to one of these? Like they'd be shelling out millions of dollars, not tens of thousands.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it all kind of depends on what exactly they get out of this. I mean, like, I fully agree. Like, as business people, you sometimes have to grease the wheels a little. And like, I have taken people out for dinner or out to see events and stuff like that, and I've had people do the same to me. And that's just kind of how business works. You build a relationship by going out and doing stuff. But also,
and I think that's the differences between the going out and doing stuff and the like all expense paid vacation to Taipei. Also, is Taipei really a vacation destination? Because the way the article reads, it sounds like it is, and I've never put Taiwan very high on the list of places that I want to go on holiday.
So I'm trying to think. When I read this earlier, wasn't there like even a line on here about like sitting on a beach in Taiwan or something like that?
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out where the beach in Taiwan is, but
and I'm like, I've been to Taipei, I've been to Taiwan, and like they're selling it as a very different place than what I remember.
Yeah, it's pretty crowded.
But yeah, like it's the thing. Like one of the I don't remember. I think it was one of the conservative MPs. Somebody went to Israel on like a Jewish Canadian friendship tour thing, and it's like I don't really. Israel is not a place that I think of like going on vacation because they're busy getting like rocket attacks by Palestinians.
Yeah. But yeah, to me, it also depends on like what exactly are they doing when they're there. Like if it's just like the Chinese government going, here, go on vacation somewhere, we're footing the bill, but you have to agree to do this, then I'm absolutely against it because then it is a bribe. But if they're like, hey, come to this region because this is the region that we make whatever in, and we want to do trade with you, and hang around for a few extra days at our expense so you can enjoy our wonderful city, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, they're trying to sell us on their whatever they're trying to sell us on. You know what I mean? Like that's put it this way. Am I more upset about this where these companies and countries are paying to have our politicians go there so they can try to sell them on trade? Or am I more upset about our prime minister going to India on my dollar with no business meetings scheduled whatsoever?
Exactly.
It's a very.
I remember like the Liberals made a huge stink. Oh, about a year-ish ago, just under, about a particular conservative MP receiving like a $60 plastic handgun case as a personal gift from a personal friend and starting to call that some sort of a bribe. but they're okay with like the Chinese government paying to fly people all over the place.
Or your personal friend that gives you a private helicopter ride to his private island.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is the gravy train just ended for John McCallum as well. So
Yeah.
this news article's already a little dated.
So yeah, as long as they're not taking these things in exchange for promises to do certain things, I don't really have a problem with it. And yeah, I'd rather other governments pay to send our politicians places than me.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
But I'd
Let's do
still like to
another one.
give a few people helicopter rides.
Yeah, there is a point of return at which helicopter fuel begins paying for itself.
Yeah, there's a chart and everything.
Charts make it true.
Yeah.
This was in the Calgary Herald. This wasn't anywhere else, which I find suspicious. Researchers expose money trail behind U.S.-based campaign to kill the oil sands. So this is talking about the Alberta oil sands. I mean, maybe my tinfoil hat is on too tight, but this is very well reasoned, and I don't understand why it's not garnering national attention.
Because it goes against the narrative.
Yeah. Fake news.
So there's a researcher, Krauss, who was at a conference for the Indian Resource Council, and they represent like 140 different bands of Indians, First Nations peoples throughout Canada who have oil and gas resources. The outcome of this is that Krauss's research has shown that effectively there's like 3 major companies in the U.S. that are basically blocking oil sands development in Canada, and that's what's turning out to the result of the $52 a barrel for Alberta oil right now. I was, I guess, mistakenly under the impression that it was the mismanagement of the Alberta economy by Premier Notley, but apparently the Rockefeller Brothers Institution, Rockefeller's being important because Rockefeller actually made his name in the oil and gas industry prior to other things in the United States. Apparently the Rockefeller Brothers Fund was one of the like major donors to initiatives that ended up not defunding the oil sands, but like diverting funds away from them as a result of protests. I don't know if that's really necessarily the right word. Protest is maybe not the best way to phrase that, but this is foreign meddling in our economy.
Well, I mean, when your own government pays protesters to protest pipelines that we desperately need in order to get the oil from the oil sands to other places, I mean, why wouldn't other people meddle in our business?
This is another thing that Krauss was talking about, because Krauss was, I wouldn't say suggesting that the Indian Resources Council shouldn't buy the Trans Mountain Pipeline, but basically she was saying you shouldn't buy the Trans Mountain Pipeline because like this is a poor investment, and this is why, and a big portion of the why is because American non-governmental agencies are promoting not spending money on Alberta oil. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I threw it in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something to think about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all.
Yeah.
Like,
I wasn't expecting foreign meddling. I thought this was Notley's doing, but I mean, I guess foreign meddling, I shouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I think ultimately it was Notley's doing, but only because she caved to basically demonstrations and virtue signaling kind of pressure.
Yeah, it's probably like a little of column A, a little of column B.
Yeah, I think that NGOs worldwide are being used by competent governments around the world to pressure other governments into making moves that'll benefit their economy.
Yeah, and when you have incompetent government, you just end up getting fucked.
Yep.
Or Canada. You might
Yeah.
end up with Canada.
Yeah. But if we ever put on a play, we've got this.
We're not doing Hamilton.
I hear they
There
rap
would
in
be-
that.
No, there would be no. I hesitate to use the word singing. Hard pass.
What about the Pirates of Penzance?
Okay. Maybe that's like acceptable, but I don't feel like that's part of Hamilton.
No. But Trudeau
I
would
feel
really,
like-
really want to wear like flamboyant blouses. So
Well, I feel that like the taxpayers have already bought so many different costumes for him. I mean, it's
yeah, he's good to go.
right. I mean,
What's
from an
what's
economic
one more?
standpoint,
Yeah.
well, from an economic standpoint, I mean, it's almost like how can we not afford to do that?
You'd probably be able to recycle.
Right.
Yeah.
We finally get some return on that investment.
Yeah, the tickle trunk is bursting full of costumes. Why not just use it to his advantage?
Emphasis on the tickle.
Tune in next week for our rendition of Pirates of Penzance.
Nice.
To watch that episode of The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob does it.
That is the Gilbert and Sullivan with the Major General song, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
getting my-
Yeah.
Perfect. Tune in next week for when I have that memorized, because all I got right now is the first line. That's gonna help no one.
Yeah, that's about all I've got too.
Yeah, I got a week to sort it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's all good. It'll be more rehearsed than our show notes.
At least you didn't go with the Mikado.
How's that then?
I said, at least you didn't go with the Mikado. That could have been way worse.
What about Joseph? I mean, that's a classic.
Yeah. For some.
Showboat?
Love Boat.
That one I know.
As long as I get to be over.
Let's do one from the Star, because it's not Monday night if we don't talk about the Red Star. Immigration Minister unveils program to attract newcomers to rural areas. Marty, you brought this to my attention. How do you feel about it?
So this to me, I mean, this is just vote manipulation. So right now, they can't win rural ridings. Like rural ridings traditionally go conservative.
You're not suggesting that the sitting Liberal government would try to gerrymander the vote.
That's how I see this. I mean,
Never.
if they can't win the war of ideas, just replace the population.
Oh, and replace is the name of the game in this one. So Hussein's plan, Hussein's the Minister of Immigration, replacement is the name of the game. 2,750 principal applicants plus family members each year to communities with less than 50,000 people, or where the population is under 200,000 but are far away from urban centers. Far away is poorly defined, even in the article on the government website. The what's the name of the thing? Gazette? Is it Gazette? It's on the Government of Canada website for their pilot program. 2,750 people in a small rural center of 50,000 people is 5% of the population. You want to demographically replace 5% of the population per annum? What the hell kind of drugs are you on?
Yeah. I mean, because you got to, like, that 5%, and then, like, next year another 5%. Like, those people are going to have.
That's not every. That's the principal applicants. So they want there's spouses and children on top of this. So you want to replace more than 5% of rural communities with new in this country?
I mean, those people are going to have the sex too and have kids and stuff, which is going to, like, I mean, exponentially grow that in a very short period of time.
So now the reasoning apparently is right now 30% of our GDP comes from rural Canada, and these communities are experiencing out-migration and are having difficulties in filling unfilled jobs when 78% of our immigrants are settling in large centers.
Importing immigrants that aren't qualified to do those jobs isn't going to fill those jobs.
Oh, no, it gets better. Hussein says that he wants the communities that want people to be forcefully immigrated into those centers. They need to come up with a plan and present it to the government by, I don't remember, it's next summer, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
so they're going to have like Tinder for immigrants, where they're going to try and match them to a community that wants them.
Yeah, because that works so well for people dating.
Well, it all boils down to the, diversity being our strength and stuff. There's a reason there's enclaves of certain groups of people in certain cities. It's because they want to be with their own kind. So, I mean, forcing them to go into outer cities, that might last for a couple of years, but exactly like the article says, they're just going to go back to a bunch of their own people so they can speak their common language and everything else. That's just the way it works. I mean, you can't.
This is definitely part of it. I agree with Eddie, but the other part of this is they want these rural communities to build social services that cater to new Canadians. These are communities that are having a hard time keeping the people that are born there to stay there. Why are we going to fill this with cat lady roles where we're going to have social worker programs to integrate the new immigrants when we can't keep people in these communities that are born there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Andrew's analogy of Tinder is appropriate because at the end of the day, someone's getting fucked here.
Swipe right if you want to move to Sudbury.
Yeah, but it's going to be the taxpayer that ends up paying for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, in any event, I'm still the one getting fucked because that's, but never in the fun way.
Their claims there's all of these unfilled jobs in these areas that have low cost of living.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Okay. There's unfilled jobs.
Right. There's jobs. There's people are unemployed and there's these jobs out in these areas that have low cost of living. All right. Let's just eliminate our unemployment then.
Find me a rural community in Ontario that has enough healthcare, enough doctors, enough education, enough childcare, enough daycare, any of those programs for the people that currently live there, and then you want to increase the population of those centers by 5%. I live in a place that doesn't have enough housing for the people that live in the fucking city. We don't have enough doctors. And I don't live in a particularly rural area. We don't have doctors, we don't have daycare, and we don't have enough affordable housing, which that this is what the government is going to do, is subsidize the housing for these immigrants, because there's no way that somebody's paying $1,200 or $1,400 a month in rent. They're going to subsidize this. We don't have affordable housing in Perth County where I live. That's not going to be a thing that happens.
Yeah, forcing a bunch of people to live in a city that they don't want to live in and to work a job that they aren't qualified for isn't going to work out well. It's a disaster all over it.
This is dumping these people in the rural areas because they have no place for them in the cities, and this is trying to manipulate the population of rural areas and shift the vote. That's what this is.
Yeah,
100%. That's what this is. I want to look at specifically with the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program that they ran in 2017. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and Labrador. They've welcomed 1,562 newcomers, including 734 principal applicants. So this is the equivalent of the 2,750 number that I mentioned before, the principal applicants. So a little bit more than half are family members. They were approved for permanent residence in those provinces. The population of New Brunswick is 750,000 people. A little bit of quick mental arithmetic, despite the whiskey, tells me that 1,500 over 750,000 works out to less than 0.2%. 0.2% of the people that are in New Brunswick, not the other provinces, just the one that I know the demographics off the top of my head. This is not a successful pilot program. This is bullshit that the government is pushing on the people of Canada. And on top of, they are not including these Atlantic provinces in the national pilot that Minister Hussein is proposing. because that's only going to be BC, Alberta, Ontario, and is it Manitoba is the other one? Yeah, Alberta, BC, Manitoba, the Northwest Territories, Nunavut, Ontario, and Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. This guy's on drugs. This guy's not even on the good, like the new liberal Ontario cannabis store weed. This guy's straight up on drugs. No one's moving to the Northwest Territories to find like middle class work. That's not a thing.
Being for a big surprise with the weather too.
Like, I don't even know what to do with these people. By these people, I mean Minister Hussein.
Maybe we can find someone to pay to take him on a helicopter ride.
Oh, this dude is among the dudes that probably deserves a helicopter ride. Because, like, what? Also, the fact that he was doing this in Sudbury, saying that like this is a rural community that can benefit from these people. Have you been to Sudbury? Sudbury's not a big city, but it is not exactly a rural community.
No, they've got a giant nickel. What more do you want?
Two nickels, so I can rub them together.
And they've even got a song named after this place too.
Yeah, it's Sudbury Saturday night.
You know what?
Like, are we going to move these people to Fort Mac so that they can build a whatever and get jobs in the non-existent oil field? Like, the fuck?
Yeah, well, there's all those vacancies there.
Yeah, because they've had to close. We're bleeding $100 million a day in potential revenue into our GDP, into our country's economy, because Alberta is being mismanaged and we're being peddled foreign influence by non-government entities out of the United States. You know, thanks Rockefeller brothers. But
yeah,
we're gonna import people to like northern Alberta. Have you been to northern Alberta? It's not a place you go.
Reluctantly, yeah.
Like, this, I do not care for this level of gerrymandering, because I can assure you they're moving them to the government plans to move recent immigrants to my country into small towns like the one that I live in to gerrymander the votes, because we're like 6% from being a liberal riding. If they move 5% more recent immigrants into my riding, we're no longer a conservative riding.
Yeah.
We're not. Like,
yeah.
This is gerrymandering.
That's human trafficking.
Oof. Yeah.
That's a really good charge. We should explore that option and maybe take somebody to court over this.
I'm in.
And by court, I mean extrajudicially with a helicopter.
Yeah. Our court. The only one that matters.
Streamlined court, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we don't have to throw all the communists out of helicopters.
Yeah.
We only have to throw a lot of communists out of the helicopters.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, theoretically, in like a Pinochetan style democracy.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, since like real
2,000
communism doesn't exist, we can't actually throw people out of.
No, 100% we can throw people out of helicopters. Get you a helicopter by 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm in.
All right, let's do another one. Global news. I think this was from our friend Tim. Tim hasn't been on the show recently, and we missed him. Global news. Hatchet assault lands Halifax man attempted murder charge. It'd probably be a lot funnier if Tim was here, but apparently Canada man attacked another Canada man in Halifax with a hatchet.
I wonder if this guy was inspired by the guy walking around the Toronto subways with an axe.
What we need is serious axe control in this country.
Yeah. No, for real. But
Especially assault axes, aka hatchets, because they're shorter, they're easier to conceal.
And probably made out of black plastic with fist scars on the side.
yeah. And they've got that shoulder thing that goes up.
Things that I learned this
This is
summer: you
perfect.
you should not leave your black plastic Fiskars axe out in the rain. They rust like a motherfucker.
Ah, but they're guaranteed for life, so take a picture and they'll send you a new one.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah,
it's
they're
in the
like
shed. I should.
no,
I
they're
should
like
do that.
they're like SE knives. Same idea. No matter what you do to it, if it's broken or whatever, just send them a picture with the little number on the side, and they'll send you a new one.
Okay, good, because I mistakenly left one out in the rain after I
don't
may
think-
or may not have been inebriated and was chopping wood.
These things
Just
happen.
clean the rust off it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
An
but I
axe.
don't have a polishing wheel.
You don't need to polish it. It's an axe. You're not
Yeah.
going to do surgery with it.
What do I got to use to take the rust off of it?
Just a grinder.
A wire wheel.
Yeah.
Wire wheel. Yeah, wire
Oh,
wheel.
then I got to buy a wire wheel. Fuck's
Bring
sake.
Wire wheel
bring it.
and-
When you're in town next week, bring it. I'll get mine and we can fix it.
You can buy a wire wheel attachment for your like cordless drill.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, yeah, but I don't currently have a need for a wire wheel. Then
I've already got one.
Yes,
We'll
yes,
take
you
care
do.
of it.
To clean your axe.
Fair point. Fair point.
all right. Well, I either need a wire wheel or to email Fiskars and tell them that I fucked up their axe.
And then get a wire wheel to fix it, and then you'll have two.
And remember, two is one, one is none.
What?
Right.
Right. Yes. That's where I was going with that.
So,
And
what
then
does a person that lives in the city of Halifax need an axe for anyway?
For chopping up other dudes that live in Halifax.
Those things are only meant to kill.
Yeah.
Ban axes. We need a registry so we know where all the axes are.
Well, the
Or-
hatchet.
Or central storage. Central storage would work.
Yeah. Central
So,
Axe storage.
You should have to bring your cord of lumber to the central storage to chop it, and then return it to your domicile.
I think Britain's already there,
a
isn't
long
it?
axe. We don't need a long axe registry. Just the hatchet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, some of those long axes are actually assault axes, though.
Well, yeah, like the malls, like the
Yeah.
once you get over like
nobody-
3.5 pounds. Once you get over about 3.5 pounds, you want to those ones should be registered as well.
Yeah,
Well,
like
and the angle of it too, right?
yeah, and like a pole axe, like nobody needs that.
Double plus illegal.
Yeah.
And they knew each other, so hey, you know how bad does that argument get?
Well, I mean, where was it? New Brunswick? No, that's not right.
Halifax. Yeah, I guess
Halifax.
the axe
Nova
community
Scotia.
in Halifax is a small one.
I mean, it's Halifax. Halifax is a small one.
Yeah, and everything is uphill. It's really annoying.
That seems like it was poorly laid out.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually in the Citadel, in which case you're looking down on all your enemies, which is good.
Yeah, but
Well,
like,
that is my preferred place to be. Halifax is only 400,000 people.
yeah.
It's the same size as Victoria.
How many people is in Nova Scotia? I know New Brunswick off the top of my head. How many is in Nova Scotia?
I'd be shocked if it was a million.
Like 430.
It's not 950,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and like half of them are in.
half of them live in Halifax.
Yeah.
Well, I know where we're going for a kitchen party.
Yeah, Liquor Dome. Dollar shots, man. Dollar shots.
And the
That's all I
good
gotta
old days. You know, Bubbles had his own bar for a while. I think that shut down now as well.
Yeah, all you got to do when you go to Halifax is you go to the lower deck. It's right on the water. There's great music, good food, and cheap beer.
3 of my favorite things.
But seriously though, you got to start the night at the Liquor Dome because it's dollar drinks. We will
4
be
of my
the
favorite things.
we will be the oldest people in the bar, but that's okay.
I may have been there allegedly once or twice.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Gun stuff? Let's do gun stuff.
All right.
Ontario abandons a relaxed gun inspection policy, places regime under review. This is in the Globe and Mail. This is things that are stupid. This is basically what this amounts to. We have a new chief firearms officer in Ontario. The chief firearms office has been filled by a new chief firearms officer in Ontario. So apparently, Wes Winkle, our friend, I'm using quotes from previous episodes, from Elwood Apps, the store that we are currently not a fan of. This is a show policy.
I'm on board with this.
Has managed to somehow lobby the government into relaxed standards for reviewing restricted and prohibited firearms in Ontario. I didn't realize that this was a thing, but somehow the firearms store lobby, I didn't also know this was a thing, but the gun store lobby in Ontario had managed to convince the CFO that they should adopt Mill Standard 105, which is a Department of Defense, American policy from approximately World War II, like 1943, I think this was adopted, to deal with quality sampling of material received by the Department of Defense. I'm not entirely sure how this came about. It seems kind of silly, but what it amounts to is that the Chief Firearms Office was only auditing 2% of firearms, restricted and prohibited firearms, that were on the books of gun stores in Ontario.
It's like the Ipsos Reid poll of firearms.
Well, and 2% is not a statistically insignificant figure, but I find it very unusual that they adopted Mill Standard 105 as a thing in Canada, not just like decided to review 2% of restricted and prohibited firearms. But that's a whole other thing, because I'm a stats nerd and this confuses me.
Well, they actually did save some money originally, but I guess that if you believe that creating more government jobs actually improves the economy, I suppose he's doing the right thing by inspecting them all, I suppose, quote unquote.
Well, I mean, pros and cons, right? Inspecting all of them doesn't do anything to stop illegal firearms trafficking, because gun stores in Ontario don't sell guns to criminals because they'll get caught and stop being gun stores.
It's generally how it goes, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I said, like, so right now the way it currently was done was the sampling. They're doing a random sampling of 2%. So the government would go there and say, show me this serial number gun, and make sure that they indeed had these ones that they were reporting in inventory, that they were in their inventory. Now they have to go through every single gun that they have in inventory. This basically shuts these businesses down for multiple days, takes all of their staff plus 4 government staff. It's a huge waste of money. If the sampling was effective enough, unless I've not seen any evidence saying that there's been any issues with using the sampling. Now we're spending more taxpayer money as well as costing all of these businesses money, which is gets dumped on the customer.
But Marty, you're missing out. Dr. Sukier says guns are dangerous, so there should be costs. You should have to involve your entire store's staff for multiple days to satisfy the government regulatory process where you verify all the serial numbers of all the firearms in your possession.
Well, as long as all of those gangbangers are doing the same thing, because if they're only inspecting 2% of their firearms, I'm going to get really angry.
Well, the best part about Dr. Suki is that she spends her entire life about gun control, and she had no idea this was actually happening. So that tells me she's not doing a very good job of on her own accord. But also the fact is that she's quite convinced the gun lobby is very powerful, which, again, I'm impressed.
Yeah, one would think that you would know your enemy, right?
If the gun lobby was as powerful as she made them out to be, we would be in a much better position than we find ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a couple other interesting numbers in here that I found. That there are 20 inspectors that are responsible for scrutinizing 1,100 firearms businesses in Ontario. I didn't realize we had 1,100 business firearms licensees in Ontario. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, I'm curious what they qualify like that. Is that customization shops or just?
I think anybody with a firearms license that can actually legally hold a firearm of any sort, like restricted, prohibited, if you're a gunsmith, store, or whatever have you. So.
Oh no, regardless of how you cut the figure up, I was just surprised that there was 1,100 of them in Ontario. Because I mean, okay, so you add every Canadian Tire, every Cabela's, every Bass Pro, every big box store, and then you add all your common one-off firearms retailers, Firearms Outlet Canada, shooting supplies, all of those kind of plans. I'm like, I'm up to like 100, 150.
Oh, but then you think about all the guys who do Cerakote and everything else that have to be legally
Yeah, well, that's
able
what I mean.
to-
Yeah, it must lump in all of those like custom
Yeah.
shops and everything. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean that's got to be like another 100 and 120 right there off the bat.
Somebody had to make a
1100
Sci-Fi
doesn't-
reference.
Doesn't seem
Yeah.
that many to me.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I don't
you're
know.
a third of the
1100 seems
population
like
of
a
Canada.
lot. I'm
Like, I can
trying
think
to
of-
figure out like.
I could think of like 30 in like a 20-minute, half-hour drive from me.
Yeah, so I can come up with like 100, 120.
Yeah, but
But
only 2 or
not-
3 of them are any good.
Well, I mean, where's the lie?
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with this 2% sample set either, because like the reviewing officers are allowed to expand that if they start finding discrepancies or if they take issue with the firearms business licensee. So I don't see a problem with starting with a 2% sample set, because
Yeah.
as someone who has done retail inventories before, counting every single fucking thing in inventory sucks. It sucks bad.
Yeah, I mean, we do a full inventory once a year at my office, and unfortunately, that's coming up. So if anyone's out of work and wants a job, let me know. But like,
Oh,
when
I'll count stuff really good.
when we verify stuff, we don't do 100% verification because that would be ridiculous. We just make sure that a small amount of it is correct, and if we notice a discrepancy in an area, that's when we're like, all right, now we have to 100% verify this area.
Exactly.
But
Well, and I think if you were worried about theft, like if you actually investigate an
Yeah.
area, then all of a sudden notice something missing, well then yeah, dig deeper. But I mean, it kind of makes no sense so far.
well, yeah, and when you run something that's restricted, where you've already got every serial number tagged and you mark everything going in and out as it happens, I would imagine your room for error is very, very low, and that you would catch that fairly quickly if it happened.
You would expect that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found unusual or out of the ordinary with this article in the Globe and Mail is the new chief firearms officer in Ontario saying that Mill Standard 105 was I don't remember exactly what he said now because of the alcohol, but basically that they had stopped using it in America. And that's true. They did, because they replaced it with a new standard for quality control in the United States government. It's Mill Standard 1916, which is a quality acceptance thing, which is based on quantities and acceptable failure rates, which still works out to about 2% on average. So I'm not really sure what they were trying to say, like that this was a thing that was in place since the 40s that the U.S. Department of Defense was using, and they were checking like 2% of acceptable stuff in their inventory. And since 1995, this has gone out of favor with a more current spec that is also about 2%. Not really clear on what the Chief Firearms Office is trying to get out of this, other than that maybe we shouldn't use American government standards for how we do quality control.
Maybe, but if we are going to take anything from the Americans, I think we should maybe enact Policy 1776. That could be interesting.
I just want to pay for my tax stamp so I can have a suppressed short-barreled machine gun.
That's a triple stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the triple stamps make it 3 times as good as normal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it might have an end to Suppressor Fest down in the States. Just saying, guys.
Going to America.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. Gavin's neck of the wood, National Post. Toronto mass shooter, some guy who we're not going to name because we don't do that kind of shit, had AK-47 ammunition, because apparently you can only use this kind of ammunition in AK-47s.
Yeah.
9/11 conspiracy DVDs in his bedroom, according to police documents. So this is in reference to the Danforth rampage that occurred. What was this? This was last summer, July of 2018?
Yeah. In the summertime.
So the perpetrator of the Danforth shooting in Toronto had conspiracy DVDs, including those by Alex Jones, the right-wing conspiracy buff behind InfoWars. I'm quoting the National Post website, because I guess this is a thing that we do now. So the Toronto cop shop raided this dude's house, the apartment in which he lived with his parents. Tell me this dude's not an incel. This guy sounds like an incel. Lives with his parents. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the stuff that they focus on in this is bizarre.
Isn't this the guy whose brother had like 42 kilos of carfentanil?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not talking about that, Marty. That's irrelevant.
Doesn't make the story at all, which I find
like
highly suspect.
40 identical models of Glocks all in the box still.
But not at his parents' house where he lived, only at his brother's.
Yeah, but my curiosity here is, so they say that he had loaded magazines for an AK-47. How do they know that those weren't for an SKS?
Clips. They said that he had loaded clips.
Or they could have been for an M305A or anything else.
Yeah.
No. Okay, these ones were AK-47 mags though.
Yeah, M305A, AK-47.
No. These ones, it said right on them, AK-47.
I see.
Two drum magazines that appeared full of ammunition.
How does it?
It's really hard to tell in a drum mag though, because it's like
no, but you would think that they're getting this information from the cops. So do you think they would have emptied the drum mag and been, it's full or it's not full?
Dear Toronto police, if you need someone that understands guns, I consult for a very reasonable fee.
Yeah, 3 loaded extended gun magazines, 2 loaded magazines for
a reasonable fee.
Yeah, for a 9mm handgun, and 2 socks filled with loose handgun and shotgun ammo.
Tube socks are regular.
Or were they wool?
Good question. Inquiring minds. They also found a soft rifle case and gun box with inset foam in the shape of a handgun, but no gun.
Don't forget the white powder they think could be cocaine, the trigger guard, or the Islamic headdress.
Yeah.
What they should do is they should stick their finger in the white powder, just stick it in their mouth and see what happens. So they know for sure it's cocaine, right? Or carfentanil, one of the two.
Yeah. Does this taste like cocaine? No, this tastes like burning.
Where's that naloxone? Quick.
Yeah, like how are we supposed to take anything these people say seriously when they don't even know if the white powder is actually cocaine or not? Like maybe it's just drywall.
Bring me the rookie. I'll show the boot how to tell if it's carfentanil or cocaine.
But like, report on facts. Yeah, like report on facts or don't report at all. Like, who cares? If the ammo was in a magazine or not is irrelevant. Especially if there's no gun to be found, like anyone can walk in and buy a magazine.
That's the point that the media is driving at: is why did this dude have magazines and ammunition for firearms that were not in his possession? Which, I mean, I can understand that as a gun owner.
I think that's a valid argument to make from the media's perspective, and that is something, and that is like that's
right. If you're us, it's entirely reasonable that, okay, I don't own a 38 right now, but I owned a 38 before, and I might own a 38 again, so I probably still have a couple thousand rounds of 38 because I have a couple thousand rounds of everything. So, that makes sense. But, dude that commits shooting spree with one handgun, question why he has AK magazines. Also, I question the official media narrative on if these are AK magazines, because it's the media.
Yeah, because they could be used in a bunch of things. But the AK is the most scary sounding. Yeah.
Because they say AK ammunition, which I mean conceivably just means 7.62 by whatever the fuck.
Well, no,
That's
because the original AKs used something other than 7.62 by 39.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I am not even confident that it is 7.62 ammo. Like what they're calling AK ammo could be
any 22. Yeah. Maybe it's one of those like laser 22s in the shape of an AK.
That's kind of the thing that I want to get at with the media here. Is like I don't trust their reporting. Yeah, they failed to include pictures of these things. Maybe show us the AK ammo.
Yeah. Well, they don't even know whether white powder is cocaine or not.
Right.
Also, what do they mean by a trigger guard? Because do they mean a literal trigger guard? Also, the fact that they referred to magazines as clips in the article.
Interchangeably, yeah.
Trigger guard is a trigger lock.
I'm sure you're right, Marty. That was the conclusion that I drew, is trigger guard means trigger lock. But language is important, and people that get paid to write words on paper for a living should be better at it than me. Because I get paid to do something else for a living, and I'm very good at it. So if you get paid to put words on paper...
Like, I like us, we hear, like, oh, it's AK ammo. And we're like, you know, okay, you must mean 7.62 by 39. But when you look at the level of expertise, where did they come to the conclusion that it was AK ammo? If that's their level of expertise. So I don't even think it's AK, it's 7.62 ammo. Like us, we're filling that blank in, and I don't think we should be. We should just be looking at this going, they have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what I get out of this.
This doesn't make me a terrorist by having a trigger guard handy, does it? I mean, just saying.
Oh, Magpul original equipment. All right, we'll let that slide. The other thing that I find suspicious of this is that the 9/11 conspiracy DVDs.
One of them by Alex Jones.
Who actually buys the Alex Jones DVDs?
Yeah, that shit's free on the internet.
Because like they go out of their way to say the "What is Islama" DVD was handwritten label, but like the 9/11, the plane in 9/11 in plain sight, that's actually like a commercial DVD. What? Seriously, who buys Alex Jones DVDs?
So there's one born in every minute.
I'm waiting for Ian to hold up an Alex Jones DVD to go with his trigger guard.
Oh. You know, if he could only look at my hard drive right now. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, like I enjoy occasionally listening to Alex Jones because it's funny, but
yeah, it's entertainment.
Seriously,
no. It's scary when he's
the same way that no one should take us seriously because this is strictly for entertainment.
Yeah. But
I'm not sure that the Islamic terrorist is like a diehard Alex Jones guy, but way for the Lugan Press to like bring in the alt-right talking point in their news article.
Yeah, like I mean, a lot of the stuff it just seems like they're trying to scare people by like focusing on like
100%.
Oh, AK mags. But like, yeah, but the guy's brother had enough carfentanil to kill everybody, and 40 handguns. But like nobody's talking about that.
Yeah.
And for anyone who missed that episode where we talked about the carfentanil, Gavin's not over exaggerating. Like he had enough carfentanil to kill everybody in Canada, enough for a lethal dose for like the entire country.
I believe actually it was everybody North and South America combined.
Yeah,
it was a lot. Like
yeah,
it was a
like
lot.
It was, and like the RSP, like they said, this is far beyond what anybody could ever sell on the street. Like it was, I mean, it was
let alone
a staggering amount.
Where did they get the money for it?
Yes,
like that, millions and millions. But he had Alex Jones DVDs, store-bought Alex Jones DVDs at that.
Yeah, and that's what they talk about.
Yeah.
But in general, my guess is at somewhere along the line, this guy did have a rifle. He did have a shotgun. It's probably been moved on to somebody else that's going to use it for other nefarious purposes.
Yeah. Or maybe he was trying to get one, but managed to get the magazines and ammo first and couldn't get the rifle. Either or, but yeah. I mean,
maybe this other person also lives in their parents' apartment in Toronto. Basically, what I'm saying is ban Toronto.
or at least people that live in their parents' place in Toronto.
Just
Build
build
a
a fucking wall.
Yeah, but then we're
Shut
going to
down
need to
the
do a
government
We're
and
going to need to
build a
do a
wall.
government shutdown to do that.
Just shut down the government and never reopen it and build me a fucking wall around Toronto.
Yeah, right.
Because if the government's still collecting taxes, you need a bigger shutdown.
Yeah.
Well, when I say shut down the government, I mean like shut down the government.
We
Like-
enact Proposal 1776. That's how we
like-
shut down the government.
Just shut down the government. And by that I mean like just like turn the government off the same way I shut down my computer at the end of the workday. Like just turn the government off.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I have to do that violently from a helicopter, I can live with that.
And it's because
Um,
because you are thinking of the children. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of my children specifically, but you should also go back and listen to episode 144. It was called 40 Cals and Carfentanil, and we discussed this at length. Actually, I think you guys discussed this at length. I feel like I wasn't even present for that, but I definitely remember walking the dogs and laughing out loud while I was listening.
It happens.
That was also some quality interning there, pulling up the
Wow.
episode number.
I have all the show notes from ever, for always.
It's like
Or
he's
at least
a fountain
until
of
we get
knowledge.
kicked off of our current hosting provider. So let's hope
Wow.
that never happens.
Well, if we keep referencing Alex Jones, I'm sure it will.
I don't even have my drops up, but I don't like him turning the freaking frogs gay.
Close enough.
I have no iTunes reviews because iTunes. You should leave us a review. It'd be nice. I'd like to read a new
Yeah.
iTunes review.
Yeah, preferably hate mail. But
Yeah,
give us
we haven't
5 star
gotten any
anyways.
hate mail laugh lately.
Yeah.
I could do with some hate mail. I'm going to be on the road for a while, so if you want to send me some emails, give me something to read while I'm sitting in airports waiting for planes. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess if you're not listening to the audio show, well, I don't know what you're doing if you're not listening to the audio show, but if you're not watching the YouTube show live on Monday nights, you'll see that I have a fancy new office space. You can see my fireplace and my flag because I had to rearrange the office this week. The office, I mean my basement.
Not his parents' basement, though. So it's
No,
okay.
my basement. I bought this
Yeah.
basement. Technically, this is the bank's basement.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the outro. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on the Instagrams at urbex_GTA, or if you don't already, follow Swanson Media Group on Facebook and or the Instagrams. Check them out too, because you'll see me on there occasionally talking about stuff.
Good stuff. Ian, where can everybody find you on the internet?
You can reach me at the Island Retreat at gmail.com. You can also watch me on a different podcast. Canadian Prepper Podcast is on my YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel's name is the Island Retreat.
All right. What was this week's show? Because I haven't listened yet.
This week's show was the concept of the gray man and how to keep yourself relatively low profile without going on a Canadian Patriot podcast and spouting.
Yeah, we're very good at that. Yeah.
So I'm gonna listen to your podcast. I have an alternative theory. My theory is that I'm the baddest motherfucker in town.
Well, and the best part is, like, you're assuming I'm still using my real name, too. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, that's a good point. Andrew is definitely a pseudonym. I shouldn't say recently, last year, I think, I changed iTunes because I realized that iTunes was actually using my real name as the podcast, and that was not cool. So,
Yeah, we're
If
on
you're
already
using
on the
the-
watch list.
well, yeah, but if you're using that Internet Archive thing, go back and look at the old iTunes and you can find my entire name because apparently we were publishing the podcast under my given name. Now we're not. I fixed that because OPSEC.
Ish. Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you have a firearms license, you're on a list anyway. So at this point, I mean, certain people like ourselves are not going to be able to do the gray man successfully. But hey,
yeah, no, we're definitely on lists 100%, and which is again why like I believe in being the baddest motherfucker in the goddamn valley. Because if somebody wants to like fuck with me, I'm just going to shoot them because I don't have time for that. Like you know that scene in Raiders of Law? Yeah, allegedly. But you know that scene in the Raiders of?
But you might not be the Raiders. You have all the gray men.
No, well, and maybe I'm wrong, but like you know the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indy just shoots that guy.
Yeah. Well, save time.
Yeah, that's my strategy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're gonna pull out swords and we're gonna do no. I'm just gonna shoot you. Someone hand me a Webley.
Yes, please. An older one.
I don't know that Indiana Jones actually had a Webley, but I just for some reason that's what came to mind when I was thinking about that scene.
It sounds like something he would have.
Marty, where can everyone find the show on the internet?
We have our own website, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. There's the Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. Or, send us feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com.
Oh, I lied. Indiana Jones pistol is a Smith & Wesson model 1917. It is definitely not a Webley.
Also acceptable, though.
Yeah. 40 long Colt. Fuck yeah.
And it shoots through like 6 Nazis at once on top of a tank, right?
That is the correct number of Nazis to shoot through.
Well, I mean, he's putting that toxic masculinity to use. So,
yeah, the Smith 1917 is definitely not a top break revolver, but for some reason I thought it was. So, is the 1917 the first one to use moon clips? Like, I feel like that's an important model number for some reason.
I am not up on my revolvers.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that the one that Tyler recently acquired?
Oh,
or is waiting for?
You know what? The 1917 might be. I think I was mistaken earlier when I said it was long Colt. The 1917 might be the first revolver chambered in 45 ACP.
Oh.
Either way, revolvers are fun.
Yeah, be more like Indiana Jones. That's the takeaway here.
Or Han shot first too.
Well, we're not going down that rabbit hole. I was going to say there's this whole theory the internet has about how like Han Solo and Indiana Jones are actually the same guy, and he's just like alternate timelines. But that notwithstanding,
it is a really cool article. I read it though. It's awesome.
Yeah, the internet has a lot of theories.
Some by Alex Jones.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water to turn the frickin' frogs gay. I really need to get my drops working again.
You know what tap water is? It's a gay bomb,
baby.
You should definitely. This is, huh?
I was gonna say, for anyone who's interested about what he's talking about there, do a Google search for atrazine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Atrazine is a thing. I was gonna say, if you're not already on the Berkey train, you should go on Amazon and get on the Berkey train. Because when I bought a Berkey, like I don't know, 5 years ago, because I just had to replace the filters, there was like 1 or maybe 2 companies in Canada that were selling Berkey water filters. You can buy that shit on Amazon now. You should just go on Amazon and buy yourself a Berkey and get all of the filters. Get the black filters and get the white filters and filter your water.
We talked about this on Canadian Prepper podcast like a couple of weeks ago. It was all about water.
We did indeed. And as a matter of fact, you can actually get stuff that removes the fluoride and the chlorine on the bottom end of the Berkey that goes into the actual drinking water part.
Oh, yeah, I have those.
Yeah, and absolutely. The best part is there's not just Amazon, but there's actually one place in Collingwood near you guys, and also Chorus Rapid Survival up in Southern Ontario as well.
There you go. Yeah, you heard it, folks.
Go on Rapid Survival. Because like when I bought my Berkey, because I spent way too much time listening to the Survival podcast with
Jack the Berkey guy Gleason.
Yeah, Jeff the Berkey. So when I was trying to buy a Berkey, like I don't know, like 5 years ago, There was I shouldn't say nobody, but there was like 1 or 2 companies in Canada that sold Berkeys then, and Berkeys were like premium money. So I bought anyway, I finally got my filters have run through to the point where my filters had to be replaced because I hit my 100,000 gallons of water. Shit's available on Amazon now or Rapid Survival. Go on Rapid Survival and buy Berkey filters and get your PF2 filters and get your black filters. The black ones and the white ones, they work as a set. It's a good thing.
By the time you break out the toothbrush and refresh them and everything else, they're good for, like you said, about 100,000 gallons.
Well, I finally hit 100,000 gallons, and I had to refresh my Berkey. So,
we're still working.
We drink a lot of water. We drink a lot of water. But next thing, well, I shouldn't say next thing, but the other thing is we have the Life Straw water bottle, universal water bottle filters, and my next project is to get a Sawyer 100,000 gallon Sawyer gravity filter, the 0.2, whatever it's called. The one that's like not a filter, it's actually a purifier. So I took to heart the Canadian Prepper podcast thing. Water's
a big thing.
Well, yeah. Water was on our goals this year. I don't remember. I have to log into my Trello board to find out. But water made it onto the goals list this year because my wife is all about the writing down goals and making lists and things. So you see on my Trello board here, where's my preparedness goals? There we go.
What the hell is
Trello is a website. It's a Kanban board. It's a thing for managing projects and workflows and whatever. Anyway, point was I have currently more than 1 week's worth of water in my house, and I could tell you exactly how many gallons that is, but I'm not going to because that's a different spreadsheet. But the goal this year is to get up to 2 weeks of water in the house, and then beyond that to have more water. And the next thing on the list, now that we have the Life Straws and everything, and the Berkey is back in fine form, is the Sawyer. I think it's the 0.2. It's whatever their gravity filter is. Yeah, 0.02. That's what it is. 0.02. It's their gravity filter, and it's good for like 100,000 gallons or something nonsense like that. So I'm going to get one. Yeah, I'm going to get one. I'm going to drill a hole in a bucket. I'm going to put it in the basement, and it'll sit next to the water. And someday I'll never have to use it because hopefully things don't get that bad. But the point is, I'll have all the water, and what will you have? Nothing. You'll have nothing.
I keep all my water in a hole in the ground. It's a deep hole. I have a lot of water stored down there.
Sounds like a really good idea.
Oh, yeah.
I live within like a 5-minute walk of a large river.
Yeah.
It makes it so that I don't need to store it all in my basement.
Yeah, but I like to store it in my basement because then I don't have to get it out of my water hole.
And you don't have to walk 5 minutes.
Well, that's my current problem. It's not actually the walking 5 minutes. It's all of the people between me, where I am, and where the easy point of access to the water is.
That's what firearms are for.
Well, you have to do walk. You have to do point. You have to do rear guard, and you have to carry the bucket. So that's a minimum of 3 people, right?
Well, this is again. I feel like when the bad things happen, I'm just going to install myself as the sheriff of Perth County, and
it's got a nice ring to it. It's got a nice ring to it, though.
The spice must flow.
Just still thinking the Republic of Vancouver Island could happen too.
Yeah, I'm not super sold on the Republic of Vancouver Island, but my wife really would like to live in BC.
We could make it work.
Yeah, I don't want to take a ferry to work, man.
Yeah, but like in the end times, we won't need to work.
And it's not minus 38 with the wind chill tonight, so
we'll just have like our compound.
Where I am either.
Yeah, we'll have our compound where we'll grow our own food, and we get to man the towers.
So, what you're saying is commune?
Yeah, compound. Compound sounds better.
Without the ism.
Yeah,
commune. No ism.
Yeah.
Well, no one wants the ism.
Yeah, we're free associating for mutual protection.
I think I got everybody. I asked Marty where he can find
Yeah.
the show. Yeah, we're good.
And then we
okay,
ranted, yeah.
So, yeah, standard rules apply. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. Rod couldn't be on the show this week. The rule is one person from BC at a time. Ian got first dibs. If you don't like it, go to the Republic of Vancouver Island and fight Ian.
Or join me.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, we'll
Whichever.
televise the fight live.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Patreon, you could see the fight.
Be a pay-per-view thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.